Welcome everyone to our Sunday afternoon talk at the East London branch, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. Currently we're discussing the seminal works of our founder Acharya Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And currently we are looking at the Golden Volcano of Divine Love, which Srila Maharaj said was his favorite of all of the books of his talks. And also, today we are, if you can see over my shoulder there, that venerable lady, that is, what was the name? Sorry.
Lewis.
Mavanwe Lewis. Mavanwe Lewis is the mother of our dear Paramananda Prabhu, who is sponsoring the Vaishnav Seva festival today. And before you all start sending emails of condolences to Paramananda Prabhu in Thailand, this is our Paramananda Prabhu here in the UK. And maybe we can just have a quick shot of Paramananda Prabhu. Where are we? Have to go this way, isn't it? That's better. There he is. There he is, wearing the flower garland, and his mother passed away just a few days ago. And so we are trying to honor her and make a festival for the Vaishnavas in her memory. And if you all of those who are present here in the temple, and those who are watching this online, and those who will watch the recording of it later on, you please give your best wishes for her onward journey in her own spiritual life. And we're praying for her good fortune, and also for the fortune of her family who are left here with us in this material world. So, and just on that point, just for those who may not know, but our Gurudev, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj, he advised that for the Vaishnava it is not necessary to do any Shraddha. And also for those whose faith is not in the line of our Mahaprabhu or who are Hindu or so on, then it is not good to do Shraddha for them. Because once one passes away, it doesn't mean that they immediately become self-realized and that they understand everything about spiritual life. So in that case, the rule of thumb is, for some people who want to perform a Shraddha ceremony, which is another different thing, the rule of thumb, Srila Govinda Maharaj said, if they would accept Mahaprasadam with faith in this life, when they were living, then they can be offered Mahaprasadam. But if their faith is a Christian faith or some other faith, and they may, take that food, but may not honor it as the Mahaprasadam of the Lord, then better not to offer that to them. But rather, in that case, and in the case of all Vaishnavas, to do Vaishnav Seva. So that means sponsor a festival in the name of the departed, and to feed the Vaishnavas. That is best for the Vaishnavas and best for the departed soul also. So we are trying to follow that in our Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and to honor Paramananda Prabhu's revered mother. And we are in Srimad Bhagavatam in the time of the Leela of Bhagavan Nrsingadev, after Nrsinga Bhagavan kills Hiranyakashipu and all of his demon hordes, then he's extremely angry. That form of Nrsingadev is called Ugra Nrsinga. And try and worship him if you can, but we find in Srimad Bhagavatam, even Lakshmi Devi, his eternal consort, she will not stand in front of him, so much afraid of his anger. So only Prahlad could pacify him. Only Prahlad could stand before him, the 9-year-old boy, but great Mahabhagavat devotee, and he's offering prayers to Nrsingadev, and Nrsinga take him on his lap. When Guru Maharaj is retelling, he says, and Nrsinga purring like a cat, very satisfied with Prahlad's devotion, and giving one big lick on Prahlad's face with his cat-like tongue. Then he's asking Prahlad, you please ask for some benediction from me, some boon. And Prahlad said, no, I have no desire for anything, just that I have your darshan and I'm able to be in your presence. That is more than sufficient for me. But Nrsingadev, he insisted. He insisted that you ask for something. And Prahlad said, then you please give mukti or liberation to my father. His father was his torturer, his tormentor, like A1 demon. And I mean, really a real demon. That we're talking somebody said recently, oh, that Devashis, he's a demon. They said, and I thought, oh, they don't know what a demon is. You know. Maybe I'm like a very small demon, but not a real demon. Hiranyakashipu, he's a real demon. Anyway, thoroughly terrible person. But Prahlad, being a devotee and feeling compassion, he's praying that to Nrsingadev, please give liberation to my father. And Nrsingadev says, oh, that is not necessary for you to ask. Whoever is surrendered to me becomes my devotee. Then 10 generations in the past, 10 generations in the future, they all will get mukti. Then, so then the very best thing that anyone can do for their father, mother, or their children, or their ancestors, or whatever, is to be the best devotee that you can be. If you can be a good devotee of Krishna, then nothing else is required. So, you all please give your blessings and prayers for Paramananda Prabhu's mother, and we'll continue our discussion of the golden volcano of divine love. The golden volcano of divine love is Sridhar Maharaj's talks on the life and precepts of Sri Chaitanya Dev. So the first part is about his life, Mahaprabhu's life, Chaitanya Dev's life, and the second part about his precepts in the form of the Shikastakam. From his own pen, only 8 verses he wrote for us, this Shikastakam. So last week we discussed the 4th verse, Nadanam Nirjanam Nasundarim, etc. And today, the 5th verse, which is, this chapter is entitled, Hankering for Perfection. And the verse is, actually we did another one, the 5th verse last, which was Ayinanda Tanuja. This is the 6th verse. Nayanam Galada Shrudaraya Vadanam Gadgada Rudhaya Gira Pulake Nichitam Bapu Kada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishyati. O Lord, when will tears flow from my eyes like waves, and my voice tremble in ecstasy? When will the hair of my body stand on end? while chanting your holy name. The illumination, or Srila Maharaj's talk on this verse is as follows. In this verse, the devotee's prayer has been granted, and he has acquired a position in Krishna's domain. Now, his ambition has no end. Although he is posted in a safe position, he is again praying for further promotion. First, he aspired only for an insignificant position as the dust under the soles of Krishna's divine feet. Then that grant came. The touch of Krishna's holy feet came to the dust, and the dust was converted as if by a magic wand. Now, a greater, higher demand automatically comes. The devotee thinks, what is this? I prayed only to become the dust of the soles of your feet. But what do I now feel within me? I am the dust of the earth, and you are the supreme absolute truth. But by the very touch of your lotus feet, dust has been converted into such a great and inconceivable substance. I wonder, how is it that I have been transformed? Now I find that my demand is for greater intimacy. First I aspired for servitude, but now by the touchstone of your lotus feet, that hope has been converted into spontaneous attraction, or ragamarg. Spontaneous attraction can only mean Krishna, not Narayan or Ramchandra. Krishna means one who is worshipped by divine love and affection. He is the king of affection, the center of affection and love. The devotee's whole conception of devotion changed just by coming in touch with Krishna's lotus feet. And he was graced by the demand for more intimacy. Greater love and affection came to grace that servitor. So, why not Narayan? Why not Ramchandra? Because in the relationship between the devotees and Lord Narayan, Lord Ram, there is some Aishwarja. Aishwarja means awe, some awe and reverence, some little bit fear of that great Lord, especially of Narayan of Vaikuntha. If you do not, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you give too much attention to the rules and regulations of devotion, you may be cast down to Vaikuntha. But we should consider that carefully, what his statement. Because if we, glibly parrot that, then we may be cast down to hell. Vaikuntha is no ordinary place. The worship of Lord Narayan, that is the most high and rare. But for those who are 100% residents of Vrindavan, who have sold their heart to Braja, the Braja Rasa, the spontaneous love found in Vrindavan, then no Vaikuntha can give any satisfaction to them. They will always feel some yearning in their heart for something more intimate. And even in the case of Ramchandra, we find very little Ragamarg devotion shown there. Maybe in the case of Shabri. In India, Shabri is famous. That everybody, if someone has to wait a long time for something, I waited a Shabri for that. Because her guru told her, when she was a young woman, one day the Lord will come to your home and you can serve him directly. And she had so much faith in that every day, she was an Aborigine woman, you can say, like a jungle woman. In India, they call them Devashis. They live in the jungle. And she was like that, native lady. But every day she would go in the forest and gather fruits and berries to offer to Lord Ram, believing the words of her guru. Maybe today he'll come and I can offer these fruits to him. And so long she waited, until finally, when she was almost at death's door, so old, then Ram and Lakshman came to her by the will of Providence to fulfill the words of her Gurudev. Lord Ram and Lakshman, they came to her cottage in the jungle. And when they came in, she, overjoyed, she fell at the Lord's lotus feet and she lifted up her bowl of fruit and berries that she'd gathered that day. But when Lakshman saw that, he was furious, because each fruit, each berry had a bite taken out of it. And he's like, what is this? She's offering her half-eaten fruit to my Lord. And he drew his sword. He was so angry, that going to finish her. What kind of devotee? But Ram could understand her heart. And he said, no, Lakshman, you don't understand. When she gathers these fruits in the jungle, she takes a bite of each one. It is sweet or not. If it is sweet, then it is suitable to offer to my Lord. If it is sour, throw that. I can't offer that to my Lord. She's not enjoying that. Only for the service of the Lord, she's doing that. So we can say this is Ragamag service, where there's no thought about the rules and regulations. You could not do that in Vaikuntha with Lord Narayan. You'd be cast down to hell. Impossible. And generally in the Leela of Ram also, the name for Ram is Marjada Purushottama. That means he loves to follow the rules and regulations of Dharma. And very strict, he's very strict with himself. But with the devotees, very, very soft-hearted. And he can understand what is her heart. But other than that, we don't find so much in Ram Leela, that kind of intimacy. Even Hanuman keeping some very reverential posture towards Ram. And he is the greatest devotee of Ram. But Krishna, his whole Leela is Ragamarga. Everything is Ragamarga. That means spontaneous. It is inspired by love, not by rules and regulations. But we are not imitationists. So our Gurudev, our Param Gurudev, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he composed this verse here. Mattala Harijana Kirtana Range Pujala Ragapata Gora Babange. Actually, slightly different when he composed it. Mattala Harijana Bishaya Range, he wrote. But Srila Govinda Maharaj asked Guru Maharaj, can we put this verse above the entrance to the Nat Mandir in Navadvip? I think it would be very nice. And Guru Maharaj agreed, but Srila Gurudev said, but I want to modify it a little bit, because Bishaya Rangi is very difficult for people to understand. That means, Bishaya means by doing the things that we enjoy in this world, we can worship the Lord. So that's Raga Marga. But for the ordinary people, it's not so easy to understand the meaning of that. And it opens the gate to many kind of nefarious things that we can do and say. It's in the service of the Lord. So he changed that Bishaya Range to Kirtana Range. Matala Harijana. That means that the devotees, the Harijans, the devotees of the Lord, they worship the Ragapata. The Ragapata means the path of spontaneous love. Pujala Bangbe. That means by what? Kirtana Range. By performing Hari Kirtan. So there, and you see the picture above, the devotees doing Kirtan, and above that, Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill and playing with his associates. So that Vrindavan Leela, that is Ragamarga, and the devotees, they worship that by the process of Hari Kirtan. So we are followers of that ideal, that the Ragamarga is our goal and the all in all. But we are not to imitate the Ragamarg devotees. Doesn't mean, you can turn up to do your service to the Lord with wearing dirty boots and an oily T-shirt and some old Levi's and come onto the altar. Some rules and regulations we have to follow because we're not on that platform. I was with Srila Govinda Maharaj in Govardhan one time. We were walking in the morning, just he and I and his assistant. And just that time, it's in Govardhan, they're just opening the shops early in the morning. And one on the corner, there's one sweet shop. And he saw that they opened up the shutter comes up, and then there's all those sweets, they're all displayed there. So then Gurudev said to me, watch how they do offer those sweets. And we stood. And he took one sweet from each pile on another plate. And there, of course, in the background is Govardhan Hill. So just taking that plate to the Govardhan Hill like this. Bas, finished. And this is Ragamarga. Not doing Archaman or not doing any, saying any mantra or any, just you accept. This is Ragamarga. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said that is very suitable for Western people because they cannot do Vidimarga. They can't remember the mantra, can't pronounce it properly, don't know what is proper cleanliness. They don't. No, Ragamarga, very suitable. But not that we will jump ahead and try to imitate the Ragamarg devotees. Some little caution is necessary for us to approach that. But to understand that is the highest thing and the goal of our practice. So,
is it Ragamarga service for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not Krishna, Radha Krishna? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more liberal.
Yes. But, well, again, Srila Gurudev said, if you give all your attention to Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Dev, then automatically the service of Radha and Krishna you will awaken in that plane, without having to do, to endeavor for that in any other way. Just give your attention to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his service and his worship, then everything naturally will come. And that is his special grace in this Kali age to us. So, continuing Guru Maharaj's thinking here. He was raised to such a plane of dedication that his prayer has changed. He thinks, what is this? I can't check my tears. They are coming incessantly. And when I try to chant your name, my Lord, I feel I'm losing control. Some interference from another quarter is moving me, disturbing my normal thinking and aspirations. I feel I am in the midst of another plane. I'm nowhere. I've lost control. I've become a doll in the hands of some other power. This is one of the effects of Ragamarga, is that the devotee can't check his emotion, but that not emotion like you and I have in this material world, but spiritual emotion. We shouldn't confuse the two as being the same thing. They really are not. Guru Maharaj says, like physical similarity but categorical difference. So, we may, like myself, put me in at a wedding, I'll be crying. I can't help it. I might not even know the person, but I start crying. And any of those kind of things. Because I'm a sentimental, emotional person. But that isn't the same as someone who has substantial spiritual emotion. So Srila Govinda Maharaj always cautioning us. Is it emotion or is it devotion? That's the question. Is it really devotion or is it just emotion? We should distinguish one from the other. But here, when I'm talking about emotion, I'm talking about the spiritual emotion that overwhelms the Raga Marga devotee. And we find an example of that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the person of Daruka. Daruka is Krishna's chariot driver in Dwarka and Mathura. And the Rupa Goswami gives the example of when he's fanning the Lord, that as he's fanning the Lord, he becomes overwhelmed with feelings of ecstasy, like just erupts within him, that he can't hold on to the fan anymore. It drops out of his hand, falls onto the floor, and he just, he can't control himself. Then he's cursing that ecstasy because it's interfering with his service to the Lord. So these kind of things, they're very high things. We should not take them in a cheap way. My aspiration is taking me towards something else. Now, I not only want a connection with you as a servitor from a distance, but coming in touch with the magic wand of your lotus feet. My aspiration has changed. I see that so many devotees are engaged in your service and chanting your name, and seeing this, my hopes have been raised. I want to be lifted to that position. I can visualize that position from far away, but now my earnest prayer is that I may be raised to that level. Your connection has given me such thirst. I want to be handled by you. Play with me as you like in your own way. My heart hankers after such a relationship with you. When I chant your name with this feeling, I find that my previous conception has changed, and my new hankering, is for the standard of spontaneous love. I pray that you lift me into that plane of your divine affection and love. This is very high. It's not just a poetic expression, like when will that hair on my arms stand on end, and when will tears flow from my eyes, like it's like a poetic, sounds like a poetic expression, but it's actually the real earnest prayer of in this case the Lord, but in the position of his own devotee. We see how powerful is Bhakti, that even the Lord himself is expressing this. It is actually a miraculous thing if you contemplate it, that Krishna, he is the Lord, but even he wants to be a devotee. It is so high, so wonderful, so great, that even he cannot resist that. When he's a little boy in Navadvip, Gadadhar Pandit, he used to sometimes tease Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit would say, "Oh, Nimai is such a good boy. If only he were a devotee. He's got such good qualities, but if only he were a devotee, then he would be perfect." And he becomes a devotee, ostensibly becomes converted after meeting with Ishvara Puri in Gaya. Some transformation comes within him. But that is a reflection of the transformation of Krishna. That Krishna himself becomes a devotee. I mean, how powerful is devotion, bhakti, that it can even convert the Supreme Lord into a devotee. We cannot overestimate that. The effect of devotion on the heart of the Lord. He is, and this is given in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expression by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to explain why Chaitanya Dev advented in this world. So two sides. One is the external side, to bring the religion of the age, the Juga Dharma, the chanting of Harinam Sankirtan. This necessity was there for him to fulfill. And we hear from Guru Maharaj, every Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Dev comes, but not always as Swayam Bhagavan. Once in the day of Lord Brahma, Krishna appears in his fullness as Swayam Bhagavan. Every Dwapara Yuga, Krishna appears to speak Bhagavad Gita, to fulfill his promise, yada yada hi dharmasya, and so on. That Krishna appears, the friend of the Pandavas and so on. But not every Dwapara Yuga is he showing his Vrindavan Leela. But once in the day of Lord Brahma, he advents in his full, complete form, you can say. And that was just this Dwapara Yuga just gone. There he advents as Swayam Bhagavan Krishna in Vrindavan. The son of Nanda Maharaj and Jashoda Mai, and performs his Madhura Leela, the sweet pastimes of Vrindavan, and shows that to the world. But even then, it was in a closed group. It is not like widely known. No mention of that Braja Leela in Mahabharata. You won't find it. Some references to a few places. Once in Gita, a very obscure reference in Gita, where Krishna says his famous verse, Sarva Dharmam Parityaja, Mamekam Sharanam Braja. He says Braja, and Srila Guru Maharaj says, that means you'll come to me in Vrindavan. Sharanam Braja, alliteration of that. Hidden, that's why Guru Maharaj's commentary is called the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. So that's hidden, that Braja Leela, but alluded to there in that verse. And in the Vastraharana of Draupadi. Draupadi, as you all know the history, I'm sure, Draupadi was being humiliated in front of the heroes of the Kuru dynasty. Her husband, Yudhisthira Maharaj, he couldn't resist the draw of the gambling. And it's not forbidden for the Kshatriya, for the warriors, they can do that. Forbidden for a Brahmin, but not for a Kshatriya. Then the uncle of Duryodhana, Shakuni, he is a very expert cheat. And so they challenged Yudhisthira. And Yudhisthira cannot refuse that challenge to a game of dice. And the long and the short is that it came down to this one throw of the dice, otherwise they're finished, they'll be finished. And first of all he gambles away his brothers, and then he gambles away Draupadi, his wife. So then, that time Draupadi was she was not present there in the assembly, because it was the time of her menses. So in the ancient times, especially royal members of the royal family, they had a place where they would go during that time. They can let their hair down, just hang out and relax while that's all going on. And she was there, traditionally considered like a time of impurity for the lady. So she was there and not really aware of what was going on. And then suddenly, on a whim, or actually Duryodhana wants to humiliate the Pandavas further. So he tells his brother, Dushashan, go and bring her here, so she can see her new master, her new lord. So then they went there, and in that condition, she's not wearing proper dress or anything, and her hair untied and so many things. She was dragged by the hair by Dushashan to the Kuru assembly. And there, Duryodhana, just to, like rub the salt in the wound of the Pandavas, he pulled up his dhoti and showed her his thigh. Said, "Look at that. This is the thigh of your new master. Do you like it?" He's like saying, and the Pandavas, they're like fuming, and Bhimsen, he can't control himself. He jumps up and he says, "I'm going to smash that thigh. I'll smash it." And Arjun and the others, they're like, "No, brother, like, calm down. We have nothing to say here, And they're also taunting them. Why is the slave saying something? He has nothing to say. Then, but Draupadi, she appreciated that. And then, this went on. Bhimsen, a couple of outbursts, another outburst, he said, I'll rip your heart from your chest and drink your blood. And Draupadi said, "Yes, and I will not tie my hair until that day that you tie my hair with your hands still covered in his blood." I thought you Hare Krishna people were into peace and love. So anyway, this is, warrior behavior. So anyway, then Duryodhana says, "So, like, she's our slave girl now. I'd like to see her naked, please. You should, like, take her, pull off her sari. I want to see her naked." He's just saying it to, like, rile the Pandavas even more. But also, and she's no wallflower. She's also a warrior princess. But she's resisting, holding her cloth. But Dushashan, he's called a Maharati. That means a warrior. A Maharati means the strength of 1,000 elephants. Then you're not going to be able to fight somebody with the strength of 1,000 elephants, even if it's only allegorical. He's a strong guy. That much we can understand. He's a really strong guy. So he's pulling her sari. It's like unwinding. And she realizes, I'm not going to be able to fight him. I'm going to be disrobed here, dishonored in front of all these Kuru warriors in this assembly. Then she looked to her husbands. They're all impotent, can't do anything. Then she thought, Krishna will save me. And Krishna wasn't present there. Krishna was elsewhere. But she began calling to Krishna. But still holding her dress. And then she fully surrendered to the Lord and let go with both hands, raised her arms in the air, calling Krishna's holy names. And then she told, "Hey, Gopi Jana Balaba." And Guru Maharaj said, when Krishna heard Gopi Jana Balaba, that means the lover of the gopis of Vrindavan, he had to come. He couldn't resist. He came and supplied her an endless cloth to keep her modesty. So, and Sridhar Maharaj says, this is the highest point of Mahabharata, even higher than the Gita. And it's called the Vastraharana of Draupadi, because she fully surrenders to Krishna in every aspect. Then, but then this again, just some slight mention of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Hey Gopi Jana Balaba. But not anything about the detail of that. So, but this Dwapara Yuga, Krishna came, and that was revealed in Sriman Bhagavatam, that Leela of Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes by Vedavyas. And that is called Madhura Leela. All is Madhura Leela. The Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, all tinged with Madhura. Madhura means sweet, sweetness. Parakiya, that is exclusive to Vrindavan. Nowhere else. Not in Mathura, not in Dwarka. No, only there, only in Vrindavan. Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan. And Krishna, Jiva Goswami Prabhu, he's given this like a special explanation of the word Bhagavan. Generally, Bhagavan, what you say, full in all six opulences, right? We understand Bhagavan to mean that. And it refers to the Lord, but sometimes to other great persons, like Lord Shiva, sometimes he's called Bhagavan. Narad is also sometimes called Bhagavan. But Jiva Goswami says that the actual meaning of Bhagavan means, it comes from, the root is Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta, which means whoever comes into substantial connection with him, their only natural response is to offer themselves to him. They spontaneously, they cannot do anything else. They must give themselves to him. That is the meaning of the word Bhagavan, ultimate meaning of the word Bhagavan. So then that, under that definition, only Krishna of Vrindavan qualifies as that Bhagavan. So he's called Swayam Bhagavan. Swayam Bhagavan. And Swayam Bhagavan means Krishna of Vrindavan, but more specifically, Krishna when he's with Srimati Radharani. When Krishna is dancing with the cowherd girls, they're all thinking, oh, he's with me alone, giving me like personal attention, just me and Krishna. But that Krishna is called Swayam Prakash. That he's an expansion of the original Krishna. And only Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, only with Srimati Radharani. And that Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, he appeared in this Dwapara Yuga only once in a day of Lord Brahma. That's like, how many million years is that? A lot. It's a lot. Then that was the Dwapara Yuga just gone. And therefore we have Srimad Bhagavatam. But that means that in this Kali Yuga, Swayam Bhagavan Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, following Lord Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Lord Krishna, then Swayam Bhagavan Sri Chaitanya Dev. Now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is given some explanation. And this is why Chaitanya Charitamrita is so brilliant literature. Both commentaries, or both accounts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and Leela, Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But Saraswati Thakur considered that Chaitanya Charitamrita to be more important of the two. And Sridhar Maharaj said, the greatest literature to ever appear in any time, in any place, in any world. Nothing greater than Chaitanya Charitamrita. The ultimate spiritual literature. But why does Saraswati Thakur give more preference to Chaitanya Charitamrita than Chaitanya Bhagavat? And we're reading Chaitanya Bhagavat in the morning, and it is wonderful, with Saraswati Thakur's commentary. But the difference is that in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur just gives the Leela, just tells the Leela. Not much philosophy, not much underpinning of like scriptural evidence, just tells the Leela like that. And the Sahajas love that, because they can twist all kinds of meanings from it. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right from the very beginning, Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving scriptural evidence to prove every statement that he makes, and sound philosophy, which makes it very difficult to contrive something else, some other meaning to it. So from our perspective, Chaitanya Charitamrita is far and away more important for the Vaishnavas. And there he says that Krishna appears once in a day of Lord Brahma, and following him, Lord Chaitanya appears once in a day of Lord Brahma. That Swayam Bhagavan Chaitanya Dev, the avatari not just the avatar for Kali Yuga, but the avatari, the origin. There, some hint has been given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj says that the divine truth is one spiritual substance, Advai Gyan Tattva. But for love, that one has become two, Radha and Govinda, and then many, for love. And then again it has become one in the form of Sri Chaitanya Dev, the combined avatar of Radha and Krishna together as one person, Chaitanya Dev. Then he says, but which comes first? When we may say, like historically, well, Krishna came and then Mahaprabhu came. So Krishna came first. Said, but it revolves in a circle. The ages of the world, they revolve. So that's like asking, which comes first, winter or summer? You can't say, can you? Because they're always coming again and again and again. Is winter first or is summer first? Or we don't know. So in the same way, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first or is Radha and Govinda first? It's an unanswerable question. They are both eternally existing as one and as two. But why Radha and Govinda have appeared as Sri Chaitanya Dev? So this explanation also Krishnadas Kaviraj has given. The reason, first reason is that he comes to fulfill the purpose of the Juga avatar, to distribute the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And every Kali Yuga, an avatar of Chaitanya Dev comes to give that. But in this Kali Yuga, there's a second reason why he comes. And that is, we can say, Krishna's, again, the explanation of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that Krishna is contemplating in Goloka Vrindavan. He is thinking, I am known as Rasaraj, or Akila Rasamrita Murti, the embodiment of all kinds of rasa. That is me. I am that, the very embodiment of that. And rasa means spiritual relationships, spiritual emotions, rasa. Said, and Srimati Radharani, she is called Mahabhav. So Mahabhav is not just a spiritual emotion, it is personified in her. Then he's thinking, so all kinds of spiritual relationships and mellows I am enjoying. But what she's experiencing in love for me as my devotee, I want to taste that. It seems to me to be far and away even more superior to the ecstasy that I feel in being me. Krishna's like the spiritual Narcissus, in Greek mythology. Narcissus, he is so beautiful that he falls in love with his reflection. Trying to embrace himself, he drowns in the pond. But that story perhaps has its origin in the Leela of Krishna, because Krishna also, when he sees his own reflection, he becomes mad tries to embrace that. Who is that beautiful person there? I want to embrace that person. Oh, it's your own reflection. Wow. I'm so beautiful. Is it possible? And can we conceive how beautiful Krishna is? If you think about, I don't know, who the most beautiful person in this world is. And once upon a time, they used to say that it was Aishwarya Rai. She's knocking on a bit now, so maybe not quite so beautiful as she used to be. But at one time, they said she's the most beautiful woman in the whole world. Okay, so let's say that that's true. And she's beautiful, no doubt. But then is Krishna like twice as beautiful? 4 times as beautiful? Like 100 times as beautiful? 1,000,000? Like unlimitedly? Like whoever you can conceive of as being the most beautiful person in this world. Krishna is unlimitedly more beautiful. So much so that if you'll see him, you will not be able to remain conscious. In fact, the saints, they say, if you value anything in this material world, your family, your home, your comforts, anything in this world, please listen to me. On no account should you go to Vrindavan and gaze upon that boy who stands on the banks of Keshigat with the eyes like lotus flowers, playing his flute, showing his threefold bending form. Don't look at that boy, because as soon as you see him, everything that you hold dear in this world will be like trash to you now. It won't have any meaning to you anymore. So don't do that, because everything will become meaningless apart from him. And I'm sorry to say, folks, you're already done it. You've already seen that boy. Then there's no coming back from that, I'm afraid to say. But so how beautiful is he? And he's thinking, but what she experiences, Srimati Radharani, in my service, in my connection, in love with me, that's more than that. It's like inconceivable. So then he contrives, okay, if I'm really Rasaraj, I should be able to taste that too. And the only way that's possible is if I become a devotee. She's the Param Vaishnava, the greatest devotee, Srimati Radharani. Her very name means that she's the one who can give pleasure, can give meaning to Krishna. We were just reading the other day, when Mahaprabhu goes to Vrindavan, and all the animals are following him around Vrindavan. They recognize him, and they're coming, they're smelling him, they're licking him, and the two parrots, they land in his hand. A male parrot and female parrot, and he wants to hear from them about Krishna. So the male parrot is telling how great his Lord is, and female parrot telling how great Radharani is. This is a kind of transcendental competition between the parrots. Mahaprabhu is relishing this. And one beautiful thing, she says, oh, your Krishna, he's called Madan Mohan. That means that Cupid is enamored by that Krishna. But she said, but without Radharani by his side, he is maddened by Madan, means by Cupid. All he can think about is that, He's a lusty young boy, and all he can think about is that. But when Radharani is with him, then even Cupid becomes enamored by that Krishna. Just by the connection, his connection with Radharani. So what kind of love that she experiences, what kind of ecstasy she finds in the service of Krishna. Krishna says, I want to taste that. And he tells her, in Kali Yuga, I will appear as my own devotee, and I will experience what you experience. And she says, yes, my Lord, you can do that. But I know from my own experience that sometimes you won't be able to maintain consciousness and you'll fall to the ground. And, I cannot tolerate the thought that your soft body will fall on the hard ground. So I will surround you with my own self. My Bhavan Kanti. Bhavan Kanti. Srila Guru Maharaj, when he wants to translate these words, Bhavan Kanti. So, and the devotees, they're offering all different, possibilities. Bhav, emotion, or, like feeling, or mellow, or different things. And Kanti, effulgence, and there are all these things. Guru Maharaj is like a wordsmith, he just words are very important to him. How he will express everything. In fact, once he told us, I was born to preach Krishna consciousness in the English language. And if you read his books, you can understand how true that is. Even Srila Govinda Maharaj said, Guru Maharaj told us many things, but not everything I understood. But when I read it in English, then I could understand what he wanted to tell us. So there you are. Anyway, so Guru Maharaj searching for this, and finally he settled on Bhav and Kanti, heart and halo. Bhav means her heart, and Kanti her halo. Heart and halo. So the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, that envelops Krishna. And so Shama Sundar, that beautiful blackish Lord, he becomes Gaura Sundar. Gauranga Sundar. Because Srimati Radharani, another name of Srimati Radharani is Gaurangi. That means whose body is golden, whose complexion is golden. So Shama Sundar become Gauranga Sundar. That blackish boy, the son of Nanda Maharaj, he has become the son of Sachi Devi, Gauranga Sundar. And we should not think that he's merely the avatar for Kali Yuga. He is the avatari. He is Krishna himself. Not an expansion of Krishna, not an incarnation of Krishna, but Krishna himself, covered by the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Not a different person, not an expansion. He is Swayam Bhagavan himself. That is the identification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
There's a question here.
Yes.
Usually, like, when we were like, we were into ISKCON, we had like the initial thoughts were like, he is like avatar of both of them. So can we say that as well?
Avatar of Radha and Govinda.
Yeah, together.
Yes. It is not wrong. It is true. But we were thinking like that, combined avatar of Radha and Govinda together. But not incarnation. Actually, personally, I'm sorry if I'm a bit of a pedant, but I don't like the word incarnation, because incarnation means in the flesh. We're incarnations. We are souls incarnate, means in the flesh in this world. Of course, Srila Prabhupada used that word a lot so that people will understand. But actually, Krishna is never incarnate. He's never in the flesh. He's always Satchidananda Vigraha. His body is never material, always spiritual. So technically, incarnation isn't actually the right word. Avatar. And avatar, there's no direct translation of that. And it doesn't just mean your persona on Facebook or whatever it is that people have avatars on. It doesn't mean that. That's been borrowed. But avatar means descent, actually. If there is a literal translation, it means descent. What is descended from the spiritual realm and manifested in this realm. So,
one more question. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, they say the soul is Krishna and the body is Mahaprabhu. But as you say, we never in a real material world, we don't think that.
say that again, sorry.
The soul is Krishna and the body is Mahaprabhu, golden avatar.
I'm not sure it says that, Prabhu, but
It doesn't say about it, like Prabhu says.
internally it is Krishna, but outwardly showing a golden form.
You use the other word, it's Advaya.
Yes.
What's the exact?
Adai means indivisible, that which can't be separated, or that's above duality. So in this world, there's duality: hot, cold, good, bad, black, white, whatever. That's a duality. But in the spiritual world, there's no duality. There's only one indivisible truth.
Radha Krishna is not
It's
separate.
same like Abheda. Abheda, like
Well, something like that, yeah. But
not two, that's one.
it is one. It is called that. In many places, it is stated the absolute truth is the Adagyan Tattva, the one indivisible truth. So that is true. But in the spiritual world, it doesn't mean that everything is just one. that everything is just this one vibration, and, you know, like that people think that, no, there's some variegatedness within that. There's variety. Like how much variety in this material world and how much variety in the spiritual world, we can't estimate that. But you have to be able to see beyond the veil, if you like. That it is not, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this argument is God, does God have a form or is God formless? So this argument will go on forever, and there's no resolution to that argument, because both positions are material. To think that the Lord has no form, or to think that the Lord has a form like you and I have a form. Both are material. The Lord has a transcendental form. We use the word form because we don't know any other word to use for it. But that means Satchidananda form, eternal, blissful, fully conscious form, omniscient form. And it's personal. The Lord is a person. As we are people, how can the Lord not be a person? That is a foolishness. Of course, the impersonalists say that's just an illusion. You know, like a pot filled with water. If you break the pot in the ocean, the water in the pot and the water in the ocean, they merge together. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we're not pots though, are we? Whereas the things are a little bit more complicated than just saying a pot. We're not an empty vessel. So, and you know, then, and the Vaishnava Acharyas like Ramanuja and Madhva, they've fully defeated Shankara's ideas about oneness. There is oneness, but that has to be qualified. And that oneness is only in quality, not in quantity. So we say that. Actually, we say that in preaching, that we are one with the Lord, in that He's spiritual and we're also spiritual. When we preach, we say like that. But Srila Guru Maharaj said, even that's not true ultimately. We are never one with the Lord in any way. Because, yes, the Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha. And it is also told, the soul is Satchidananda, right? The soul is Satchidananda. Well, Sat, we can agree. Okay, eternal. The soul is eternal. And Chit, conscious, we can agree. But Ananda, where's that? Are we experiencing Anandam? No. So, but we have the potential for Anandam. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, Anandam, or ecstasy, is the food of the soul. The soul has its own food, its own purpose. And Guru Maharaj says, just to exist, a rock exists, but it doesn't have any consciousness of its existence. Or if it does, like very small, if we even make that, allow that. And so then comes Chit. Chit means consciousness. We are conscious, I think, therefore I am. I understand that I exist. If we can get beyond like the philosophical brain twisters that people are, do I exist? Like, really? I mean, but if we just like think about it honestly, we exist. Srila Guru Maharaj said when he was listening once, he was on the train and there were two men were talking, and one man was saying, no, I don't believe that God exists. And the other man said, oh, I believe God exists. And they're like debating backwards and forwards. And then Guru Maharaj, he said to the man who said, I don't believe that God exists. He said, does the person who doesn't believe God exists, does he exist? Yeah, that's me, right? That's me. I exist. And I don't really believe that God exists. But you exist. Then how do you explain that? How do you explain that you exist? This is Guru Maharaj's modes of thinking, how he analyzes things. Everything ultimately comes back to consciousness. You have to be able to explain consciousness. That if you exist, how do you exist? In which way do you exist? So even that argument, does God exist or does God not exist, is an argument within consciousness. So consciousness is the most original thing. You have to explain that first. Whether you can then you can debate about whether God exists or not exists. First of all, explain why you exist or how you exist. And ultimately, you can't do that without coming to the position of God. So, anyhow, why was I saying that?
From the question of Adla.
Yeah. Okay. So then, we're never actually one with the Lord, but we have a potential for ananda. So Guru Maharaj is saying just to exist has no purpose, and even to know that you exist. When you know that you exist, then you must have some purpose to exist. To exist with no purpose. So the purpose of our existence, and no one can deny this, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a theist, whether you're a devotee, whether you're a non-devotee, whatever, everyone must agree that the purpose of existence is anandam. Everyone is searching after happiness and bliss, fulfillment. These are all like meanings of the word ananda. Everyone is after that. And they're just trying so many ways in this material world to find that. The perfect partner, the perfect home, the perfect car, the perfect TV, the perfect, whatever it may be. Everyone's striving for that, and we're all being encouraged for that, you know. Oh, you've only got the 1969 Mercedes-Benz, surely you want that, you know. You understand. But we need fulfillment. We need our food. And that food is anandam. The food of the soul is anandam. And how do we attain anandam? Through connecting with anandam, with Satchidananda Vigraha, Rasaraj, Akila Rasamrita Murti, Krishna himself. Srila Govinda Maharaj put it very simply. Everybody wants to be happy, but how can you be happy if you ignore happiness himself? Happiness isn't a state of mind, it's a person, and that person is Krishna. He is happiness personified. Then whatever happiness we experience in this world is only a reflection of that original happiness, the person happiness, Krishna. So if you want real fulfillment, real happiness, real anandam, you have to go to the source of that. And that source is Sri Krishna. And when Sri Krishna comes as Chaitanya Dev, that means, like Krishna's Leela, Vrindavan Leela, is called Madhura Leela. We already discussed that. The sweet Leela. When Srimati Radharani, she's in the mode of always of distributing that. She wants to distribute that to others. Then that mood of Srimati Radharani is called Odarja. The distribution of Madhurja is called Odarja. So when covered by the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, Krishna comes as his devotee, which again is like a mind-blowing thing, that the Lord has now become his own devotee. Then his Leela is the distribution of Brajarasa. That's called Odarja Leela. And therefore, Kali Yuga is considered the best of all the ages. Particularly this Kali Yuga, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to distribute that. That's why Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Anarpita chirim chirat karune avartana kalo samarpayita munuto jala rasam sabhakti shriyam. That means, Anarpita chirim chirat means, you have come to give what no avatar has ever given before. Even Krishna in Dwapara Yuga didn't give this. That is Krishna Prema. To everyone. Not just to his close group in Braja. To everybody. And for what price? Just say you want it. You can have it. That's all. And his distribution mode is perfect. You want Krishna Prema? Maybe you don't even know what it is. But here, you can have a sample. If you like it, you can have it. And even those who say, no, I don't want it, and run away from that, then he has Nityananda Prabhu. to say, no, you must have it. You have to have it. I insist you have it. So Gaurnitai, they have come to distribute what no other avatars of the Lord have ever given before. And we are the benefactors of that. So Srila Guru Maharaj says, that means that the gods in heaven are queuing up to take their birth in this Kali Yuga so that they can take part in Chaitanya Dev's Audarja Leela, his distribution. And somebody said once, oh, it says the prediction that there'll be the golden age within the Kali Yuga, When's that happening? Like, what's that all about? And Guru Maharaj said, like, what do you think Satya Yuga is? Do you think in Satya Yuga everyone was Krishna conscious? And he said, well, yeah, actually I did think that, yeah. Guru Maharaj said, no, they may live for thousands of years, but they are meditating on impersonal Brahman. They're not meditating on Krishna. But he said, in Bengal we have this saying, that the rainy day isn't the bad day. The bad day is the day when we can't hear something about Krishna. That's really the bad day. So we don't measure the quality of the age by any external measure. From externally, the Satya Yuga is the best age of man, from the external point of view. But if you measure it from the degree of the revelation of divinity, we must come to Kali Yuga, what Mahaprabhu has come to give. No other avatar ever given that before. That it has never been expressed in the world before, at least for our perspective. Then how fortunate we are. You don't have to meditate for thousands of years. Even if you could, right? If you live to be 100, that's a big accomplishment. Get a telegram from the Queen or the King now, if you manage to do that. I was just saying the other day, that I was reading this thing that said, like, the habits of successful people. You see them sometimes, right? 7 habits of successful people, or 10 habits of successful people. Amongst them was that they meditate daily, right? They do meditation daily. But when you analyze it a bit more, what's the optimum time for meditation every day? 7 minutes. That's all you need. 7 minutes and you're sorted. Really. If it were only that easier, go to the community centre, or get up in the morning and do your 7 minutes while you're brushing your teeth or whatever it is. No. That means total absorption on the absolute. Really, that's what meditation means. Impossible in this age.
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours, yeah. In fact, in the golden age, there was no distraction for that. There wasn't family life. There wasn't, families, men and women. There were Prajapatis who kept the progeny going. That was their service, to do that. But no one was brought up in a family situation. That only began in Treta Yuga. When Guru Maharaj said, when seduction entered into the world, then they had to make some arrangement for family life. But then in Treta Yuga, all kinds of sacrifices were being performed. But no one can do that now in Kali Yuga. In fact, it's forbidden. One of the things forbidden in Kali Yuga is animal sacrifice. Because in the previous ages, even they would do Gomeda, which means cow sacrifice. But it doesn't mean that they kill a cow and chuck it in the fire. An old cow would enter into the fire. By the power of that sacrifice and the mantras chanted there, it would emerge from the fire with a new, rejuvenated body. Who can do that? And in previous ages, any priest, Brahmin, worth his salt, he can light the fire by mantra. Doesn't need a box of matches or a lighter. He'd just tell whatever the mantra is, the fire would light. That's like your first lesson in a priesthood, how to light the sacrificial fire. No one can do that. If you find somebody in India that can, there might be some Purajit who can do that. You'll think they're a god, isn't it? That they can do such a thing. Impossible. And then in Treta Yuga, like temple worship, built all these elaborate temples and doing the worship. But what kind of worship they're doing there? When they're making some offering to the deity in the temple on solid gold plates. If you offer a rose, and the rose must have scent. Can't be one of the Kali Yuga roses that don't smell of anything, Offered on a 24 karat gold, or is that the purest, isn't it? 24 karat, right? So pure gold plate. They make that offering, perfect mantra, everything. And then they don't send it to the pujari room to wash it, to be used. No. Now that's discarded. Next offering, a new 24 karat gold. Like 1 week's puja, how much would that cost today? Nobody can do that, kind of impossible. But in Kali Yuga, none of those things are required. There's in fact, it says, in this age of Kali, it's an ocean of faults. But it has one redeeming factor, and that is simply by performing the Sankirtan of Lord Krishna. Everything that was attainable in the other ages, you can get it now. Just by chanting Krishna's holy name in congregation, Nama Sankirtan. All of those things easily, the results of all of those things will easily come to you. And no other religious principle in this age is necessary. Why? Because we can't follow any other religious principle in this age. We can't even light the fire without a box of matches or a lighter. How pathetic is that? So we see it sometimes when they're doing the arti. The gas has run out on the lighter. I can't light anything. Run off and someone bring me a lighter. Go on. Is more or less, it is superfluous. Actually, it is. Srila Guru Maharaj said, without Nama Sankirtan, even the worship of the deity in the temple may just be waving around some burning sticks. This is just a formality. But when you add Nama Sankirtan, everything becomes perfect. So then, that revelation that never before been given in the world, what Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev has come to give, it's extraordinary. It's unique, and it's so freely available that we don't even understand how rare and pure that is. We take it for granted. Oh yeah, worship of Radha and Krishna, so Nama Sankirtan, try and fit that in somewhere. Really, if we understood even a little bit how wonderful this Nama Sankirtan is, this religion of love that Chaitanya Dev has come to give, we wouldn't waste another moment. And I certainly include myself in that. Why are we wasting our time with anything in this world? It's all garbage. It is. It's all garbage. Whatever it might be. But we're all convinced about it. We believe it. We believe in, bricks and mortar and glass and stone and concrete, and this is what reality is. And religion, I'm not sure about that. It's like a nice idea, but I don't know how. Unless we can touch, taste, smell, then we're not sure if we actually believe it or not. If we did, why would we waste even another moment of that? Like people sacrifice so much of their life every day for things that they consider to be important, isn't it? We were just talking about this the other day. If you study to become a doctor, like how many years of study do you have to dedicate to that? And then how many years of clinical practice? We know, like the junior doctors working ridiculous shifts, they can't stay awake and all that. But why do they do that? Because they consider that sacrifice is important to them. Then should we think that Krishna consciousness is worth less than that? That if it really is, what we're told it is, we should give ourselves to that, like, completely. But why don't we? So we're not really sure about it, actually. But more than that, we're all addicted to the material world. That's what it boils down to, actually. So, like when people go to the Alcoholics Anonymous, they have a meeting and they stand up and say, "Hi, my name's Bob. I'm an alcoholic. It's been so long since my last drink," or whatever, So, then we should do that. We should have meetings like that. "Hi, my name's Devashis. I'm a material world addict." And because that's the fact, right? Maybe we aspire for Krishna consciousness, but we're completely addicted to everything in this material world. I'm addicted to my comfort and my convenience and all the things that go along with that. That's the fact of it. I may know that it's going to cause me suffering. We know that, right? We know. Even we're told that philosophically. Starts off as nectar, turns out to be poison. We think, yep, that's right. Because we have experience of that in this material world. But we're so stupid that we think, this time it's going to be different. This time it's going to be that thing which it promised us it would be. This time is different. It's going to be different. And then we realize, no, it isn't any different. It's just as bad as the last time as we tried it. And that's true about everything. We know there are like forbidden things in Krishna consciousness. Meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, all these things are forbidden. But there's also things that aren't forbidden, but they're still just as much Maya to deviate us from the service of Krishna. Going out and enjoying yourself in a fully wholesome way. It's still not Krishna consciousness, is it? And Srila Guru Maharaj would say that real Krishna consciousness means to sacrifice yourself for him. This is Guru Maharaj, right? Guru Maharaj's anthem was, "Sacrifice is joy." And we're thinking, I don't know about that. Sacrifice? Oh no, I'm not sure about that. Don't know if I'm on board for that. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for chant Hare Krishna, be high forever. That's what I signed up for. No, I don't know about this sacrifice stuff. Anyway, we're not Guru Maharaj. We're not that kind of devotee. We are who we are, right? We are who we are, completely addicted to the things of this material world. But somehow, agyana timirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakoram militam jena tasmai Sri Guruve namaha. By the grace of our Guru, our eyes have been opened and we can see the world as it is. We can see that we're all trapped in the matrix of material life. We can see it, but we can't leave it. Srila Govinda Maharaj told us about the story, the two sadhus, they're walking along the river in the deep winter, and one of them, and they're cold, The one sadhu says, "Look, there's a blanket floating down the river. Like, if I swim out and get that, we can dry it out, we'll be warm tonight." "Okay, let's do it." So he swims out, he grabs the blanket, but the blanket grabs him. It's not a blanket at all, it's a bear. And the bear's thinking, he's going to save me from the... Meanwhile, on the bank, his friend says, "Just leave it, come on, just leave it. We'll go, it's no big deal." And he says, "I'm trying to leave it. I'm trying to leave the blanket, but the blanket won't leave me." And that's how it is, right? We're thinking, if I get this thing and that thing and, I'll be comfortable, I can carry on, practice Krishna consciousness and everything, but those things grab hold of us and they won't let us go. Oh, what a shame, huh? What a shame. So what can we do? Well, Rupa Goswami has given us the answer to that. That even though we may be afflicted with the jaundice of avidya. That just like in Ayurvedic medicine, the medicine for jaundice is made from rock candy, a type of sugar. When you have jaundice, and I've had it twice, so I can confess that it is true, that even the sweetest thing tastes bitter on your tongue. There's nothing you can do. Because you produce so much bile from the jaundice, anything sweet tastes bitter. So Rupa Goswami uses this example that the name of Krishna is nectar sweet. But when we chant Krishna's name, we're not tasting nectar. It's bitter on our tongue. Oh, really? Oh, I've only done 4 rounds. I've got another 12 rounds. I'm like, when's it going to end? Guru Maharaj told Srila Govinda Maharaj, like one of his first instructions when he gave him Harinam, don't do this. You know what I mean? Like, how far till I finish this round? No, don't do that. Don't do that. And we're always thinking that, right? So it's a little bitter on our tongue, the holy name of Krishna. But Rupa Goswami says, just by regularly taking that medicine every day to the proper prescribed amount, gradually that jaundice will disappear and the sweetness of the holy name will manifest on your tongue. You'll be able to taste its sweetness. So although we're addicted to this material world, simply by taking the proper prescription, the medicine, the chanting of the holy name of Krishna regularly, every day, that will, like drops of water wear away the stone. It'll go eventually. And just lastly, we should remember that we're not dealing with an impersonal absolute. We're dealing with a person, the supreme person, the supreme sweet person, Krishna. He's more merciful than we could ever imagine. He didn't make us just to suffer in this material world. He made us for a life of love with him, an eternal life of love with him. That's our prospect. That's why we exist. So it's not impossible. It's not that we just have to grin and bear it and suffer in this material world eternally. No, he wants to take us up. And all we have to do is at least develop a desire for that, in spite of whatever else there is. So we don't have to be completely pure before we can come to Krishna. By coming to Krishna, we become pure. Just by the attempt, we become pure. So we should come before the Lord and say, here I am, Lord, warts and all. Here I am. However rotten I may be, here I am, but I've come to offer myself to you. Please take charge of me and make me how you want me to be. He won't ignore you. He won't refuse you. That's his nature, is that he wants to embrace you. He wants to embrace his devotees and bring them up. And especially in this Kali Yuga, Mahaprabhu has come just for that purpose, to rescue the fallen souls. In Guru Maharaj's language, the Lord's loving search for his lost servants. We are those lost servants. That's his modus operandi. That's why he's come, to rescue the fallen souls. And Srila Guru Maharaj said one beautiful thing, which always gives me hope. And that is that although we see this material world as the Durga, or the prison house for the rebellious souls that didn't want to surrender to Krishna, we've all come here by the misuse of our independence. It's not just that. That's just from our perspective. From his perspective, as Akila Rasamrita Murti, Rasaraj, the enjoyer of all kinds of rasa, one rasa that he enjoys is rescuing the fallen souls, as Chaitanya Dev. He's got to have a place to do that, which is full of fallen souls. So ultimately, Guru Maharaj says, from the furthest point of view, the deepest point of view, this material world only exists to facilitate Lord Chaitanya's Leela of rescuing the fallen souls. Here we are, Lord. Let me come to the front of the queue, please. So we should be encouraged by that. We should understand that, okay, we may be rotten, but rotten to the core. Srila Guru Maharaj said about someone, we're speaking about somebody, he said, they said he was a fraud before he was even conceived of. So we might think that describes us nicely. But nevertheless, we still do have some intrinsic part to play in Krishna's Leela. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming for that. So have no fear. It's just a matter of time. You know, like in America, the Marines, they have a motto, no man left behind. So that's Mahaprabhu's motto. No one is to be left behind. He's come to rescue everybody, to save everybody. Just try and push your way to the front. You get that? And don't take the attitude that one of my friends took. I won't tell his name. But he said, if Mahaprabhu is the savior of the most fallen, then I should be as fallen as I can be. And just make my life really fallen, then he'll come and rescue me. No, don't do that. Just come to the front and say, here I am, Lord, warts and all. Just please accept me. Take my charge. Make me how you want me to be. He won't refuse. So anyway, today we'll finish our talk here. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswat Thakur ki jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Bhagya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari Ju ki jai. Parinama Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.